The way consumers think about money has changed a lot in the past 20 years, and so much more rapidly in this year alone. We used to worry about balancing a checkbook. Now we barely write checks at all. We never bought online in the 20th century. Now it's becoming the norm. And with contactless payments growing in popularity, cash is becoming less and less common. For these past 20 years, it seems as though PayPal has been positioning itself for exactly the kind of world we live in today. Most everyone is familiar with where PayPal came from, as a safe way to pay for goods online. But few understand the full breadth of what PayPal does or encompasses. In truth, it's a whole lot more. Fueled by a fundamental belief that having access to financial services creates opportunity and should be a right for all. PayPal is committed to democratizing financial services and empowering people and businesses to join and thrive in a truly global economy. Through a combination of technological innovation and strategic partnerships, PayPal creates better ways to manage and move money and offers choice and flexibility when sending payments or getting paid. Available in more than 200 markets around the world, the PayPal platform enables consumers and merchants to hold balances in their PayPal accounts in 25 currencies, withdraw funds in 56 currencies, and receive money in more than 100 currencies. PayPal has a clear mission to democratize financial access, to help small businesses, to drive financial wellness and financial health throughout the world, and to leave this world better than we found it. This is what we stand for as a company and who we are.
Change, to me, in a couple of words, it means challenges along the way and resistance.
Change is inevitable and unpredictable.
Change is scary.
Anger, frustration,
Anxiety.
Shock,
doubt.
and guaranteed to happen. So always have to be ready to embrace it when it comes.
The year I finished my MBA, I was looking for a new opportunity at work. I spoke to a number of people and sort of let it be known that I was looking for a challenge. Little did I know what form that challenge would come in. I was given the opportunity to move from Ireland to the US for a 6-month project. However, that project was nothing I'd ever done before. This was implementing a whole new e-commerce platform for the company I worked for at the time. It was far from product management. It was really a whole new area. And so while I was determined to take a new challenge, I wasn't quite sure that this was the right one. So this area was way out of my comfort zone. I didn't know anything about e-commerce capabilities, what needed to be done, and I didn't even know who to ask. However, I came over to the US and I dived right in. I spent time talking to all of the stakeholders. I really hid my fear a little bit and faked it till I made it. I was able to understand what needed to be done. I was able to leverage the strengths of others, and I was really able to deeply engage with my customers. At the end of the project, I had built, so many relationships around the US part of the company that they actually asked me to stay and offered me a product management role back where I really loved to be, but on the strengths of what I had shown as I took on this new project and made it happen. What I learned is to be brave, to trust that I can do more than I think I can do, to really jump in and understand what is it that we're trying to achieve, set up a clear North Star, and work towards that goal. Everything's possible if you do it one step at a time. I'm going to be willing to be vulnerable. I'm going to be willing to admit when I don't know the answer, and I'm going to continue learning.
I'd like to talk about the experience that I had while adjusting to a new culture here in the US. I was born and raised in Turkey, and it's actually a lot different in terms of the culture. So the way I was brought up was it's very important to be humble. So bragging is bad. So you just do a good job, you focus on delivering great things, and what would happen at the end is that you would be given the rewards. And you don't need to ask for it because, doing a good job would get you there. When I came to US, I realized that wasn't the case. And I didn't know that, people need to know what I am working on. I didn't know that I had to talk about my achievements. I had to explain people what I accomplished, because I thought I'm doing a good job and they would just know it and they would just, reward me by doing a good job. But I learned that wasn't, doing a good job was not good enough. And I felt it was unfair. It's because, I'm very used to this other culture that taught me to, not to speak up and not to ask for things. But eventually I thought about my career, and this is a different culture that I have to adapt, and I have to adjust the thinking around my career advancement, right? Once I understood the importance of owning my achievements and making sure that people are aware of my work, I decided to be transparent. I decided to speak up with my with all the achievements that I had. And the way that I do it, actually, because I have this inner conflict that, this culture has taught me, I do an honest self-assessment of the value I bring, but the value I bring not to myself, but to the team, to the company, or to the organization in general. So there are, teams and other people who benefit from my experience. So I've tried to focus on those things, not focusing on my own. That helps me to manage that conflict, the inner conflict. But I am honest with my management, and I am able to talk about my achievements. I am able to actually tell them, explain them where I want to be in my career, what I want to get out of this job, this role, this year, next year, and in the next few years, right? And that helps me also set expectations, but also it helps my management to tell me how I can get there. It's not just about talking, good about good stuff, about my achievements, but it's also actually learning about where I lack and how they can help me to get there. So it's very important to speak about the things that I want for myself, and to speak about the things that I achieved for my team and for the company. I learned that making my work visible is as important as doing a good job.
The time when I was so excited was when I walked across the stage to get my undergraduate degree. The reason why this was such a momentous occasion is because I was the first in my family to attend college. No one before me had the access or opportunity to do so. My grandmother only had a 6th grade education before she had to work. And so for me to go to the University of Southern California, which is in Los Angeles, a city that I am from South Central Los Angeles, and never stepped foot on campus to a school that was down the street from where I grew up with, because I never had any insight into college education or higher learning. Entering campus was amazing. I'd never seen structures so big, so large, so historic. I never saw legacy and the beauty of having people before you that put in intention into your future success. There were generations and generations of kids whose parents, grandparents went there. And I thought, wow, that's an amazing opportunity to pass down. I also was extremely isolated and out of place. I didn't have a car. My classmates had Range Rovers, and they were 18 years old. I had to work. Most of my classmates did not have to work. And I had to negotiate every semester with financial aid about the fate of my education. School was stressful, but I was so exposed to so many things I never knew before. Small things like having fresh produce, salmon. I never had this before I entered university. Like it seems small, but it's like, wow, I live a whole different life than the people here. And I just got so exposed to so many different cultures, to language, to travel. I had not been on a plane. There's so many things that I had not done that most of my classmates had already experienced. And so I was so grateful just to be in that ecosphere with them and for them to share with me and us to create new experiences together. As students, we were building, creating. We were right at the 2000s .com buster boom, and so we were very excited about what the future held for us and our role in it. And so I think over the years, I gained more confidence in who I was becoming. I didn't yet know fully, but I knew there was great promise in my future because so much had been invested for me to get there, particularly from my family and for everybody else who made sure that I would not only get there, I would stay there and actually graduate. I was full of hope about the future that I could obtain. However, I didn't know how far behind or ill-equipped I was to get there. I went to a very poor performing public school. Only a handful of us actually went to college. And so when I came into a school known for the University of Spoiled Children, highly privileged students, wealthy parents, I was far behind. I was not equipped. I had to take remedial classes, take additional classes at community college just to catch up. All this while working and navigating financial aid. Eventually, I found my footing. I found a community of people that supported me. I started a dance team. I led an advocacy group for inner city youth on campus. When I accepted that diploma, it was not just important for me, it was important for everyone in my family before and after me. You see, getting access to education for a first-gen college student changes their socioeconomic outlook. I would never thought that I would have 3 degrees at this point. I would have never thought I would be where I am today. One of my primary causes is education, and I pay that forward by serving on the USC Board of Governors, ensuring that marginalized students have access to equitable education. And today, I am still the only person, 20 years later, to have education in my family, and I want that to change for my future and others. Because education does unlock significant opportunity and potential, particularly for people who don't have access to it. I learned how to be super resourceful. I learned how to get by with very little. I navigated to every free food event on campus. I learned how to talk. I learned how to communicate with people in different ways and more meaningful. I learned about struggles and different socioeconomic plights. Everybody had a struggle. Just because you're rich doesn't mean you didn't have a struggle. I learned about what access could do for you, how access could change your lives. I went to a school in South Central Los Angeles, a place where I grew up, and right outside those doors of those campus, you see real life, and you see how hard life is for people from that community that would never have the opportunity to go to this university. And so I saw the gap. I saw the opportunity gap. And I was inspired to change that so that the people who live there could actually go there, so they could have financial access to be there and succeed and thrive. And right now, to me, education is the #1 barrier to access for people from marginalized backgrounds. And so until there's access and equal opportunity for all, we won't be able to play or participate in meaningful ways. And so that's why that is a core of who I am, what I advocate for, and doors that I try to unlock for everyone.
2.5, 3 years ago, I was given the opportunity to manage an engineering team along with my product team. I've been a product manager, I've led product management teams, and I'm really comfortable with that. But managing an engineering team, that was a bit of a holy crap moment. Can I do this? Do I have the knowledge? What about all these people who know how to do things that I don't know, but they're looking to me for guidance? That was a little scary to me. So I had to sit down and think about, how would I approach this? And I wanted to approach it with sort of a learner's mindset. What is it that I need to know? And what is it that I bring to the table? I thought about, what do these engineering teams want to know? They want to know about the customer. They want to know about our goal. They want to know what we're trying to achieve for our customers. And so I can bring that to the table and I can play to my strengths with that. But I also had to think about the things that I needed to learn. How would I be a leader for engineering if I didn't know much about engineering? What I realized is, through my career of being a product manager, I'd learned quite a bit about engineering. And so what I spent time doing was spending, time with engineering teams, learning about what was important to them, learning about why they took pride in their craftsmanship and how they liked to grow in their career. I also had to spend time hiring the right people and having the right team. You need to think about, what are the things that you're great at and what are the things that you're not great at, and how do you hire to fill those gaps? And so I had an amazing team to work with who spent time with me and helped me get up to speed on all the things that I didn't know. I was able to ask really dumb questions in the spirit of learning more. And so after a time, I became much more comfortable, but I won't say it was easy. It certainly took time, but I'd like to think that now it makes me a better product manager because I understand how my engineering partners work, what they take pride in, what they're interested in, and how to leverage the strengths of both product and engineering separately, differently, but in the pursuit of the customer. Imposter syndrome is very real, and we always think that we don't know enough. I didn't know enough. And so I had to be self-aware enough to understand that it's okay not to know. You don't need to be the smartest person in the room. As a product manager, we always feel like we need to know the answer. But the reality is that the right answer comes from many different places. So I sat down with, entry-level engineers to understand, how does functional testing work? How do they deploy code? And they took me through it like they would take a new hire or a recent college graduate through these things. And so it actually bonded us as a team because I was able to show my vulnerability, my lack of knowledge, and they were able to share with me what they knew and what they were expert in. And it made it really fun. And I didn't need to pretend, and they didn't need to pretend. What started out as a challenge, an opportunity, a somewhat frightening opportunity, this really was the most satisfying time of my career. I spent, the last 2 years really deeply working cross-functionally with product, design, and engineering, leveraging the strengths of all of them, and pulling together great solutions for our customers. Getting over that initial fear, getting over the need to be vulnerable, and to enable everybody within the team to provide their area of expertise really meant that we delivered much better products in the end to our customers. What I came to appreciate was that I need to leverage my strengths, be aware of areas that I need to grow, and dive right in and learn a lot.
I felt really anxious when I was changing from my first full-time job to another job, which was more technical. I have a computer science degree, but when I graduated, I didn't get a job as an engineer. I was a business analyst, and it didn't involve coding. And I always wanted to experience what it would feel like to be an engineer and utilizing my knowledge that I picked up in school. So I decided to change my job, and I got a technical job at this big tech company, and it was really exciting actually in the beginning that this company is everybody's dream. Everybody wants to get a job from there, and I thought that it would be such a great feeling. In the beginning it was so, but as I started my job, I was feeling very anxious, and the anxiety built up because I started feeling that I must have, slipped through the cracks somehow, and this job was not something that I should be doing because I didn't trust that I had the skills and I didn't have the experience. And this place was, known to be full of brilliant people, and I didn't feel like I was in the same league, and that was really daunting to me. And it was a stressful time. And the way I approached it, was I actually let it go. I let my guard down, and I told my team that, I didn't know everything, and I told them that I was vulnerable, and that was my approach. And it was actually turned out to be a great experience because it made me connect with my team on a human level, and they also understood that not everyone can know everything. Everyone has a different background, everyone comes from different places, and they helped me to excel at my job. So they taught me a lot of things that I didn't know as an engineer, and I hadn't done before. One thing that I also learned from that experience was that showing vulnerability helps me at any stage in my career, because as a product manager today, I am using the same approach where I tell my team that, there are things that I don't know. And it is important because as product managers, we are perceived as, source of knowledge, source of truth. A product manager knows everything, which is not the case. And I tell this to my team. I show them that, I'm vulnerable. I need your help. There are things that you can explain to me, you can help me, and I can find out for you as well. And that builds, again, the trust among my team members. And we understand we have to lift each other up by helping each other. And I think it makes me and my team more productive and more collaborative when we're building these amazing products. I did my own research, of course, and learned the things that I was lacking. But I think the most important part was that asking for help and getting my team to understand that not everybody knows everything, and there are things that they can help me with. The feeling of being more comfortable with my job, I think that was the best thing that happened after I showed this humility to others, and after I showed people that I'm vulnerable.
I was so embarrassed when I discovered I was pregnant at age 35 and single. I had no clue what I was gonna do, who I was gonna tell, how I was gonna tell anybody. All of a sudden, I was in a dilemma and I didn't know what to do. You see, I was doing well. I had a great career. I had financially paid off all my student loans. And so I had a financial freedom that I never had before. And I had big plans to travel the world and do all kinds of amazing things. I had a ticket to Bahia to participate in Carnival. Life was going, and all of a sudden it stopped. So being pregnant at 35 is a miracle. Doctors told me I was past my childbearing window. And at this point, it would be a geriatric pregnancy, and that there would be risk. My co-creator wanted nothing to do with this child and made that very clear. And so I knew I was gonna have to walk this walk all by myself. Once I made my mind up, and I made the choice that so many women have to make by themselves oftentimes, I decided to be a mother in the best way that I could, in the best way that I knew how. I took every single pregnancy class known to mankind. I learned every method. I found a support group. I told my immediate friends and family I was going to need their help. And so on Juneteenth, 2016, my baby girl came into this world. Her name, Zora, after a freedom fighter, Zora Neale Hurston. And when she looked at me, she gave me a look that said, "Mommy, you got this. It's gonna be okay. We're gonna do this." And with that little bright confidence booster, I grabbed my baby and we started our new life together. While becoming a new parent isn't easy for anyone, becoming a single parent is extremely difficult. I didn't think that I would have to deal with breastfeeding, navigating back to work, on top of family law court cases and custody battles, on top of my management team telling me there's only so much you can do as a single mother. I've seen my wife work really hard at raising the kids. Surely you can't do this alone. I essentially was written off. But I realized that if I could survive labor, I could do anything that I put my mind to it. If I could bring this beautiful child into the world and care for her, surely I could go back to work. Surely I could be a corporate citizen. Surely I could contribute to society. And with that, I took on new causes. I took on maternal advocacy causes. I took on accessibility causes. I took on childhood education causes. It just gave me more causes to be passionate for and support. And I know I'm not the only one doing this. I am so inspired and encouraged by every woman who walks this walk alone. I'm particularly inspired by Black single mothers whose average net worth is $5 and at the lowest of the socioeconomic pole in this country. And I want to show every single parent, every single woman, every mother out there what is possible. I learned that God has plans better than I could have planned them out. I learned that I was no longer bad by myself. I learned that I needed community. I needed people to help me, support me, hold my hand along the way. I learned that there is a group of people who understand and who get it. And I also learned how to be my own best advocate for my worth and not listen to anyone who demeaned my worth just because I simply had a child out of wedlock. Simply that was not the truth or the case. And those are things that I am encouraged by on a regular basis.
It was 6 months into my job. I was just started feeling comfortable. I started recently knowing my team, my product, and then all of a sudden I learned that I was going through personally my role was going to be impacted by this reorg, and I felt lost because I didn't know many people at that time. I was new myself, and it was frustrating. I felt I was betrayed, but more I also felt angry because I had a plan and this messed up my plan. So I got this job. I was gonna work on a more consumer-facing product, and all of a sudden, my new product changed into a more back-end focused product role, and I got a new manager. So it was a lot of things happening at the same time, and it was a very challenging time for me because I had these thoughts in my mind, and I was even thinking, what do I do? Should I actually change my job, and should I look for something else? What am I going to do? It was a time that I felt really lost. So eventually, I realized that I had to adapt to this change, and the things that I did first was talking to my new manager and telling him about my passion, which was on the consumer facing products. I also told him about my frustrations because, this is a new role and I didn't know if I would excel at it. This is something that I haven't done very much before. And I wasn't sure how to navigate that, right? And this open communication, actually, having this communication from the beginning helped me to go through these challenges together. He cleared the path for me to be a good product manager working on a back-end product. He told me what skills I needed to obtain for this job. But at the same time, he also helped me work on the things that I had my passion, right? So he made opportunities for me to continue learning about, consumer-facing product development and doing things on the side as much as I can. And that was a great experience because actually change can lead to something better. Because I changed my role, and this new role, I can say that I am utilizing all those skills that I picked up during my back-end product management role. I'm also blending the front-end and back-end skills together, and now I can see the product development end-to-end. I believe that I add more value to my new team by just going through this experience. This reorg actually really helped me to outgrow my skills as a product manager. Key takeaways for me was that I had to stop complaining at some point because I realized that it was just draining my energy, my productivity at work, not just at work, in my personal life as well, because I was just, in that negative state of mind and it was impacting everything. And I learned that I had to adapt quicker and try to see this as an opportunity to grow new skills, to grow into something that I wasn't before. How I see change is around moving forward rather than trying to go back to how things were. Because I know that at the end of it, I will come out with more skills, more experience, and more learnings.
About 7 years ago, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. Talk about being frightened. I was terrified. I was pretty much paralyzed with fear. And I spent the first few days after the diagnosis being just really, really scared and frozen. But I had to get through this. There was no other option. So I spent some time with friends and family, drawing on my resources to understand what was in my control and what was not within my control. All of the areas that were in my control, I or friends or family helped me to get under control. Be that, nutritionist, medication, choices for surgery, choices around treatments. The areas that were not within my control, I had to think about how to deal with. And I came to the conclusion that I wanted the best team. And so I spent time understanding my choices for surgeons, for oncologists, for support teams in general. And I tried various different ones until I found a fit and some people that worked for me. And what I did was I spent time with them. I shared my goals. I shared what I wanted to achieve. And we worked together to come up with a plan. And then I trusted this team implicitly. And they helped me get through this. And it really doesn't ever end. The feeling that it might come back never really goes away. And I still rely on this team to help me every checkup and every year to keep going and to keep a positive mindset and to get through this on an ongoing basis. It certainly lessens over time, and I feel a lot better than I did 7 years ago. And I'm really, really thankful for my friends and family and the team of medical and life coaches and folks that helped me through this. I feel like it's really important to focus on the goal and to have a positive mindset about how you're going to get to that goal. There will be obstacles, there will be struggles, but if you can focus on where you want to go and how you want to feel and how you want to get through these difficult times, this will really lend itself to a successful outcome. There were days when I didn't want to get out of bed, but I got up and I walked around the neighborhood with my husband, who was a huge support to me. And I felt better afterwards Just taking a positive step in the right direction, some days that's enough. When I think about hard things or areas of adversity, what I try to do is break them down into small, manageable pieces. Otherwise, it feels overwhelming. Whether it's a walk around the neighborhood, whether it's getting up and taking a shower, or taking the next step in that huge, big work initiative, just moving forward can help you feel successful, which then lends itself to the ability to take the next step. Every day, a little step in the right direction helps us get there.
Somewhere over the Atlantic Ocean, I thought I was going to die. I took a 48-hour trip to Tel Aviv, Israel, from California. The flight, a 16-hour flight, to meet a client in person for a 4-hour meeting. I had taken this new job to be a director of product at an artificial intelligence company based in Europe. I thought, this is my dream job. I've always wanted to work at a startup. I always just admired the fascination of building companies from the ground up. And I had my chance to be a part of the team. So I flew to Israel on a Sunday night for a Monday meeting and got back to get on a plane on Tuesday. I went to the airport and was held at security for 2 hours. My laptop was taken. You see, there's nobody who looks like me in Tel Aviv, Israel, on an AI assignment from America. I probably looked suspicious. What was I doing there? What? Who are you? All the questions came pouring in. I was exhausted. I really didn't have the energy for this line of questioning that I was getting. But they finally let me on the plane. I get on the plane and I start to feel hot. My cheeks start getting hot. I try to take off my sweatshirts, try to unlayer to get some fresh air. I turn on the vents. And I said, let me just get up and try to go to the restroom to cool myself down. And I collapsed in the aisle of the plane. When I regained consciousness, I had oxygen mask and a doctor was saying, are you okay, ma'am? Are you okay? And I said, I'm okay. I'm okay. I just got hot. I'm okay. I had 10 hours to go on that flight. The sad part was this was not the first time that happened. Since I started this job 6 months prior, I had done 100,000 miles of travel. I left my daughter, who was 2 years old, to be with my mother so that I could take this dream opportunity. But I was failing and failing miserable. Nothing I could do was good enough. I had what felt like every job in the company. I was product, business development, sales, production support, marketing. I wore so many hats and I wasn't doing any of them really well. I had regular anxiety attacks from the stress and the nervousness of not being able to perform. When is enough? When? My manager called me into a meeting and said, Lisha, this isn't working out for us. And I said, you're right, it's not working for me and I have nothing else to give. I grabbed my stuff and never returned. I didn't see all the stress that I was consuming while in the moment of trying to do a job that I thought was amazing. I didn't see the toll that it had taken on my home life, the toll it had taken on my physical and mental health. I was oblivious to that fact because I did not want to be a failure. I did not want to say enough is enough. I had been working on global clocks all over the world, all different time zones. I only could meditate to go to sleep because I didn't know where I was at the moment. And when that moment came, when it was over, I felt such relief that I would never have to do this again. I would never have to spend another day working like this in an environment where not only was I not set up to succeed, no one was set up to succeed. There was no training, no proper communications, no protocol, just thrown into the fire and good luck. And that surely was not going to work for me. And so I left. I took some time to reflect on what I really want to do, the life I really want to have. I wanted to actually see my child and raise her. I didn't want to be on the road all the time. You know, and if I had to give up the fancy titles, that's what it meant. I had a corner office, I had director jobs, I had VP jobs, and none of it was worth the sacrifice of myself or my family. Change brings freedom,
Change is exciting.
Opportunity,
joy,
Challenges.
fun.
surprise.
But at the end of it, it means outgrowing myself, and I would have learned something new.